Joining us now is veteran diplomat YIGAL PALMOR, now head of the international relations for the Jewish Agency for Israel, joining us from Jerusalem. And YIGAL, let's start with Jerusalem, the fourth country. Maybe it's not the flood or avalanche of or a rush of countries that were once predicted by some to join the U.S., but still four is it's a progression. So let's look at this. How much of an achievement or not is this step?
Look, this is definitely a happy day in the history of the relations between Israel and Honduras. This is a friendly country which is now settling in Jerusalem, and that in itself is very nice to have. However, it is not an influential move that might influence other countries to follow suit. We must be very realistic about this. Honduras does not carry much weight within regional politics in Latin America, and the fact that it has moved its embassy to Jerusalem is not likely to resonate in other countries or to tempt anyone to do the same. So it's true that we have three countries with the United States having their embassies in Jerusalem. But we're not talking about a major move in international diplomacy terms, something that really makes a change in the attitude of the international community and international institutions towards changing its views on the status of Jerusalem.
Right, but let's look at a little elsewhere and border to Israeli diplomacy. The new government has put an emphasis on it, restocking, for example, the numbers of ambassadors and consuls across the appointments that had been delayed. We see the foreign minister, Yair Lapid, sort of hitting the ground running, going to the UAE next week now with Blinken and even the President Rivlin. So it does seem to be a renewed emphasis on diplomacy with this new government coming in.
Yes, definitely. The approval of 35 heads of mission, ambassadors and consul general was long overdue. Let's not analyze again why it was paralyzed for so long. I think we all know the answer to that. The good thing is that the first move by this government was to approve all of the appointees and allowing Israeli diplomacy to move on, to do what it needs to do, and that is to send its most important envoys to countries around the globe. There are still a number of key posts that need to be appointed, some key positions that need to be filled, among others, ambassador to Canada, ambassador to Australia, ambassador to Paris. These places have been without ambassador for over a year and a half in the case of Paris, a year in the case of Canada, for example. And we really need to get ambassadors in those places. And it does seem that the new foreign minister is intent on not just hitting the ground running, but running very fast and very far. And I think it's good news for Israeli diplomacy, which is taking again, it's regaining actually the place it had occupied in the forefront of Israeli policymaking.
All right. Well, certainly next week we're going to see some big trips, as we mentioned. Foreign Minister Lapid to the UAE and President Rivlin on a very unusual trip for an outgoing president to the White House. YIGAL PALMOR, thank you for joining us on The Rundown.